So we can imagine a scenario here where we could set up this blue bar in the middle here is Basecamp, and we could set up some sort of field operation there, an infrastructure there that can bring in data from the field and get it out back to headquarters. Now, the ways this could work are, I think this kind of stuff is fun to think about. So first of all, I'll just bring your attention to the cloud part here. So in the AWS cloud, you can have a virtual private cloud for your relief organization that has all the software that you require for your operations, that you're used to using, that your staff is trained on. It can include data that you know that you need for a certain kind of response. That could be imagery, that could be medical information, anything like that. You can deploy all that sort of stuff in your own VPC, your own virtual private cloud in the cloud. And that's the kind of stuff that you can then basically take a snapshot of, load up onto a Snowball Edge, and have ready to go. So you can test your operations. You can sort of test the stack that you need, both in terms of software and data, and get that onto a Snowball Edge, which you can then deploy into the field. Now, if that's there in the field, let's say you've got a base camp, you're in a tent or something like that, you can be running this thing. An Amazon Disaster Response team member can turn up and install this for you. Then you can start bringing in data from any kind of source. It could be, suppose you're working at a refugee camp, you could be taking surveys. Suppose you're working in an area that's been affected by flooding, you can be flying drone imagery. Really anything you need to do to gather data from the site, you can start bringing it in. And we can work to, like I said before, restore connectivity there, or perhaps set up networks that can be used to retrieve this data and then get it into the Snowball Edge, get it into the base camp. Then once it's there, like we showed the image before, of installing a satellite uplink, a VSAT, we can get that data out into the cloud and into the hands of decision makers as quickly as possible. Now that could be decision makers that are remote, but at the same time, obviously, you're going to have decision makers that are there on site at the base camp that are going to be able to make decisions also based on the data that's being gathered and analyzed there. Then once you're able to get it out, another thing that's important to emphasize is that, sure, you can send it back up in your cloud if you're using the cloud, but if you're not using the cloud, that's fine too. This is not, the point here is that you've got to get data from disaster sites and get it up in the cloud because we want all this data in the cloud. If you have your own data centers, you can send this stuff to those data centers as well. The overarching point, and this goes back to the much earlier slide, is that what we're trying to do here is get information from the field that is critical to save lives into the hands of decision makers.
Ew.